I think someone
Like,
walked
say,
in on
what, do you have,
him.
like, a full model? Do you have, like, a full model? Like,
I
just
think so.
working with
Not
the
but okay,
model?
this was before. I think this was before he got into Niji. So this wasn't
Okay.
during. The Minecraft thing was during. The VR chat thing was
Mhm.
before. So she openly was like, yeah, no, I was basically a social media manager. I helped with this. Oh, she forged. I forgot about this. She forged his signature and letter. So like once you hit 1 million, they're supposed to write a letter publicly and go, "Thank you so much for 1 million."
Yeah,
Um,
like, so I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
yeah, it like and she wrote it for him and she wrote his logo and his signature, but the thing is it's illegal because they sold it as Niji merch. So very fucking illegal. Very
Yeah.
illegal. But okay, we can get back to this. My bad. I went on a tangent. Angel, do you want a video about that dude? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Link it to me. Link it to me. But we can continue with this. Okay, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Fan, you're at least familiar with the industry.
Oh,
VTubing
shoot.
is huge,
What?
and it has been for years now. It's
Sneezed.
worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. And in this space, there are two agencies that stand atop
Big
the others
bucks.
as kind of the titans of the space.
Yeah.
It's HoloLive and Nijisanji. Now, Nijisanji has an English branch that right now is going through one of the most foul displays of mismanagement, cruelty, and just downright terrible business practice I've seen in quite some
That
time. It's
says
a
a
real head
lot,
scratcher
dude.
because
Love
every
that.
single day they
Love it.
continue to dig themselves a deeper and deeper hole. It's like this company is run by a Voltorb that is obsessed with using the move self-destruct. It is just
That's
bent
crazy.
on burying itself. So I definitely wanted to talk about it now that I'm fully caught up on the situation. There is so much to go over. There's a really good video that breaks down like the main timeline here for what happened. It comes from Mujin. I'll go ahead and play
The
the
main
main catalyst for
timeline,
this,
love it.
and then I'm going to actually turn to a series of Reddit comments that were left that I
Reddit
think go
comments?
over the entire history of the Nijisanji problems that have come to light, and then fast forward to what just happened last night, where an even bigger controversy just unfolded. So there really is a lot to cover, and all of it's looking terrible for Nijisanji, the English
I was gonna
branch
say, how
that
does
is.
the, Japan
Now, when
branch
I
do?
first was made aware of this on stream a little while ago, I
Um,
said that I'm not even surprised by it because a lot of these VTuber
that's a good
agencies have a
question.
history of some very terrible things going on
Hmm.
behind the scenes. Many of you know I started my own agency for YouTubers and streamers a while back called Human Media Group. We recently merged with Jimmy Here's group and became Mana Talent Group. And over the years, I've actually seen a couple of these VTuber contracts that they were formerly under, and it is downright
Oh,
evil
he
what some of
saw the
them were doing to the
contracts?
talent that they manage.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I obviously can't get into the specifics of it, but it is some horrible stuff that some really bad stories and bad things that we saw from that. But even being familiar with some of the horror stories that we'd learned over the years from some agencies, I was shocked to see just how bad Nijisanji was here. So I want to focus more on the most recent stuff that just happened, but I still would like to give you a foundation for what started all of it. So for that, I'll turn to this clip from Mujin's video that breaks down this whole situation and just give you the catalyst. This was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, fundamentally, that kicked off this world war against Nijisanji, all of which they brought upon themselves by being just complete, unreasonable, evil assholes. VTuber that was very popular and was with Nijisanji's English branch. And she had a history of being super involved in her community. She called them Dragoons, and she wanted to do a special music video for the community and paid $15,000 out of her own pocket to make it happen for the fans. And she posted it, thinking that it was totally okay to do because she self-funded it when Nijisanji declined to, but they made a big stink about it and took the video down, even though she had permission for the song that was used, and even though it came from her own piggy bank instead of theirs.
I don't get
They
that.
didn't like that it didn't get the
I was
proper
gonna say,
approval through the internal management. Because the way Nijisanji runs their company, it's with a fucking iron fist. You need permission to fart on stream to be under that agency. And since she
Farting
didn't
is
get
crazy.
all of the proper channels to sign off on it, they took it down. Which, of course, was a huge hit to Selen and her community because they worked very hard on that project. So she made a vague statement explaining that, well, management took it down, but she actually encouraged her community to re-upload it across the platform because she wanted it to live on. And she assumed that would be okay because, you know, it's not on her channel anymore, so they shouldn't have a problem with it. But they did. This soured relations between Selen and Nijisanji, and behind the scenes it led to a lot of harassment and bullying from Nijisanji against Selen.
Because out of nowhere, on December 27th, she tweets on her account, "I apologize for the silence. I've been in the hospital after an accident and will be staying there for a few days to be under supervision. I just got back access to my phone yesterday." Now, of course, people were happy she was out of the hospital, but the concern was still there. It was very vague and people didn't know what was going on. The Selen Tatsuki termination notice. I will not be silenced anymore. On December, I was hospitalized for an attempt that was caused by a buildup of bullying from within and being in a toxic and poor environment for numerous months that led to my breaking point. I requested to leave first, but on more neutral terms on the 26th of January.
Obviously, I chopped this up and Frankenstein together this little segment to give you a very concise timeline. So, Selen made a post about how she's going to need to take some time away after an accident that landed her in the hospital. Everything was very vague. Eventually, she explains that she's been discharged from the hospital, and then shortly thereafter, Nijisanji English branch announced the termination of Selen Tatsuki.
Oh,
the
I think it gets worse.
termination letter is very poorly explained as to why she's exactly being fired. Now, when it comes to VTubers, there's two ways that
drama goes
departing
crazy.
a
Right?
company goes. One is a graduation stream where they graduate from the company and it means that they are leaving on good terms. So they have like a big send-off farewell stream and that's the end of it. Sail off into the sunset. Sunshine and rainbows, it's a happy ending. You get the good ending. Or there's this, where you just get publicly terminated and just fucking slapped down by the company like this. And in this case, obviously, Selen got the latter, where they just said, she's gone. Now, if you're not familiar with VTubing, when you sign with an agency like Nijisanji, they basically own you. They give you your VTuber avatar, they own all of your socials, your channels, everything. You are unable to operate with any type of autonomy. You are under their thumb and they basically own all of it. So she lost access to everything here and she actually didn't even know she was being terminated. She found out when this tweet
is that not fucking insane?
Her. And the tweet, again, is very poorly explaining things. They talk about Selen like it's a fucking IKEA furniture tutorial on how to put it together. It's just like talking about a bunch of nonsense about authorization flows not making sense and whatever. And then they cite like the music video and how when she made the tweet that management took it down, it damaged their brand and caused problems for them, this and that. It was just fucking stupid. A bunch of dirty barnacles. And then Selen went to her original account, her original brand of Dokibird, to explain what actually happened is that due to the harassment and bullying and the toxic environment Nijisanji created, she made an attempt on her own life and landed in the hospital. Luckily, she survived and is still with us today, but she no longer would be silenced by this company and bullied into being silent. So she started to explain what happened behind the scenes that led to all of this stress and all of these problems. She lawyered up and is engaged in now a legal battle with Nijisanji, presumably, that is being worked on. And that is where all of this really started. That's when the floodgates opened. And with all of this information out there now, people were able to go back to some previous Nijisanji talent with a finer tooth comb and see that the signs of a sinking ship had been there for quite a while. Signs of a company that mistreats its employees, signs of a company that is mismanaged and just downright diabolical behind it.
What's interesting is that when I applied and got interviewed for agencies. So how agencies go is that you fill out a whole questionnaire. It could be like 10 to 30 questions, and they go in detail. And the most important thing is like, what have you achieved already in the VTubing world? And what, like, give an introduction via video. And honestly, it seems good and it seems fine, and it's really easy just to, if you have the experience, you just write it all down. But and it seems good and dandy because they're not asking that bad of questions. It's literally just a job, like, hey, what's your experience? Yeah, it's basically like you're just putting your resume and you're copying and pasting it. The only difference is that they're asking you specific questions instead of vocally yet. And then what you do is, if you're one of the few, you get thrown into a call again. They interview you again, and then they probably put you into 2 or 3 calls before you're like, okay, you're in, or like, hey, you're
like
in
an idea of what's happening.
Yeah, you're in the finals. But the thing is that if you get into the agency, you cannot legally talk about it. So you can't talk about the process. You can't talk about the process, anything. But because I didn't get in, I can talk about it. Technically. But honestly, like, sitting back now and like seeing the company from like the one that the one that I almost got into, I'm glad I didn't. And the funny part is that the ones that I applied for another one as well. And that one, everyone just started graduating from also that agency as well. And I was like, oh my God, I hit the fucking clear. It's just funny because the one that I almost got into, someone graduated from, went to the one I also auditioned for. So like everyone's moving, and I was like, okay, maybe I was in the clear. Maybe this was a good sign. But I remember the whole contract being such a big worry because I was like, okay, well, I already bought everything for my debut. Yeah. So I was like, do I pay for everything and then you owe me back? They're like, no, you basically like go into debt to us. So we take everything until it's like paid off, and then we give you whatever. And then I just sat there and I sat there and I was like, bro, what? Because at the end of the day, I can't take the brand with me. Right? Like, what? Like, Whole Lives and Nijisanji are so different, right? Because they'll make that money back immediately. Yeah. But there's other agencies that I sit there and I'm like, there's no way these people are like making this money back to any degree. Like, think so? Well, the only thing that I've heard and I finally started digging into is that the bigger agencies like Whole Live and Nijisanji, they have riggers and artists in their building they pay for. Yeah, that makes sense. So when you start looking at their models, like a lot of them have the same parents. We call them parents, and like mommy and stuff, and like papa or whatever the fuck. So like when people are like, oh, who's like your parents? You go, oh, the parents is like this person and this person. They rigged and they did the art. And that's usually how we go about it. But I can't imagine going into debt for a company. Like, if I'm going in, that's absolutely wild. It's a wild thought. Crazy because a majority of people who go into agencies cannot afford it. Like, they go into debt. Like, it's not like they're like, oh, I have the money, I'm going to spend it, and then now, this company owes me. It's like, no, they're in the gutter. The only time I've ever seen it be successful was the 5 boys up top. I was gonna say the really super popular ones. Yeah, they made like $60K in like their first debut stream. So like they made it off, but like these big agencies need you to have everything ready in like a month or two. So you have to expedite everything, and that costs double, if not 1.5%. And then commercial, you have to pay extra for that. That's 2 or 3 times the price of things. Yep. Merchandise, stuff, and then you have to usually have a animation lore video ready, which is like, dude, I've gone through so much time and energy to figure out a lore video myself and finding an artist that will actually do it, and it is undescribably insufferable. TLDR, idols are not allowed to have relationships in Japan. Literally though, They're not.
Wait, really?
No, you cannot have relationships at all. It's kind of like K-pop.
I-
If you, like,
Yeah, I guess it means like it's the fantasy of like, oh,
that's like the whole thing. Is like that's a
Yeah.
huge aspect of VTubers, I guess, is the fantasy that you maybe have a chance with them. That's kind of
Yeah.
like the I wouldn't say OnlyFans, but like, you know how Amaranth gets all these guys and they're just like, one day,
No, it's the
please.
same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of that feeling. Go.
And closed doors, and I want to go over that because we have a lore master in the comments section of a live stream fails clip that I think does an extraordinary job of
Nice.
just laying all of this information
Weeb
out.
shitter.
So, all guys, is Weebshitter69. A great name for a great philosopher.
What the fuck?
So, Weebshitter starts by explaining what Nijisanji is and how big Nijisanji is, and then takes us back to the past. March 10th, 2023, one of Nijisanji's newer talents, Zion Lanza, was terminated, which again is being fired, publicly, and then put out this bullet point list of the infractions that they accrued. And at the time, people sided with Nijisanji, but then stated that the way they handled it was a little unprofessional, especially coming from a multi-million-dollar company, and just overall not great. But since Zion no longer had access to their accounts, she returned to her original account that she had before joining, which was Sayu Synchronicity. Now, if you've followed this story for a while, you've probably seen this meme tossed around about Sayu was right, or Sayu tried to warn us, and this is what they're referring to. On that account, she revealed more information about her own experiences inside the company, hinting at a toxic environment, incompetent management and bullying, stealth suspensions, etc., and she further stated that she hopes other talent realize their own worth and that they deserve better. Some people sided with Sayu, but most didn't at the time. Then in May of 2023, Selen Tatsuki hosts a contest letting her fans design her next outfit. Nijisanji management tried to put a stop to the very act of compensating the artists for their designs, while also trying to assert that artists who enter the contest should hand over the rights to the artwork for free.
Oh, nice.
Selen refuses this notion and pays the winners out of her own pocket instead. She, a while after that, hinted that management no longer allowed her to organize events anymore, which sounds about par for the course for a company like Nijisanji,
That's so
where
dumb.
July 8th of 2023, Nina Kosaka graduated, meaning they left on good terms, had a farewell stream, but then comes back later with VShojo, which is another VTuber agency, as
Very big.
Matara Khan.
Yep.
She's a cockroach
That information will be
VTuber.
pertinent later.
Oh, I think you
August
showed me her.
27th of 2023, Mista Rias also graduates, saying that he was burnt out and no longer had any drive, and reappeared shortly after as K9 Kudo as the first male VTuber in VShojo. Again, information that'll be important here soon. Once they settled in, statements from both of them saying how surprised they were that management in VShojo were actually helping them achieve their creative aspirations started to come out, and how they finally feel like they have worth after being repeatedly
finally
told by
were
some
the
that
good
they
company.
did not.
Yeah.
Strongly echoing Sayu's previous statements, even revealing that they did not receive the YouTube plaques on their own channels during their time in Nijisanji,
Wait, pause for
but
a second.
rather that the company
Pomu Rainpuff became
Mm-hmm.
a ghost maid. She's been doing really well. Everyone fucking loves her. Selen turned into Dokibird. She almost won an award one of her first years back, which was I think this
Oh, nice.
2024.
It's so funny that everyone's getting like accommodations for their work, where at Nijisanji they didn't get anything.
Yeah, what's interesting is that all these places, all like the members have gone to bigger places. Like people who left Hall Live and people who left Nijisanji, majority of them have all went to VShojo. But
Yeah, some are better.
VShojo doesn't have like they have rules, but they don't have like they don't restrain them to any
They'll put
degree.
handcuffs
But
on
they're
them.
also an American company. So maybe the mindset's a little bit different, obviously. But I
Yeah.
mean, the people that are in VShojo are like, I wouldn't say they're definitely not as big as Hololive, but they have one of the number one streamers. So it's like, they're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty fucking good. Have you heard Iron Mouse?
Oh
you have.
yeah. I don't think they really care.
I've never heard of a VTuber getting terminated based off of financial, anything financial. Like you're not putting out enough, you're not, whatever it may be. I've never seen that happen. I think I've seen the company dissolve or a branch dissolve, but I've never seen this like people get picked out of groups and being like, you're not like financially like giving enough.
Yeah, it could be something they don't do.
Graduate. Oh my god, they locked those fuckers down so hard. Every
Believe it.
time they talk about it, they're like, yeah, when I used to work at Wendy's, when I used to work at this this nice restaurant.
Nice press. Yeah,
Yeah, like they'll lie and like put another key, like they'll put all these keywords in. I'm like, Jesus Christ, the fact that you have to do this to like is wild to me. Like they can't even say the name.
They'll sue the shit out of you.
It's just fascinating to me because I'm just like, they came from somewhere, right? Like I get it from a business perspective, but they also came from somewhere. Like if I was confident that like I owned a business, I was confident that when someone left, I'm not violating anything. I'm not doing anything. Like I'm doing everything I can to make it happen. Yeah, they came from a different past life, no doubt, and then they're gonna go back to a past life. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem talking about it unless it's like they know they're not good at what they're doing. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be fearful
100%.
about it.
Yeah. No, the reason why they're not letting them talk about it is because if they do, they know they're gonna say shit that's gonna put a bad name on them. It's gonna defame them. It's gonna rub their name in the mud. They're not gonna do good things with the information because it's not good information.
Yeah, I also heard that people at Nijisanji moved to Japan for the quote unquote work. So they like obviously they live in Japan. So like if they don't work for Nijisanji anymore, they'll have to leave. So I think there's a lot more on the
It's like a
line
work
than
visa.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because not a lot of them lived in Japan originally. And I think they moved to Japan because of Niji. So it's like, okay, well now if they leave, they'll get fucked. And they'll have to like go back home and lose everything again. And like start from scratch, basically. Which is fucking wild.
Them. So Nijisanji kept the plaques from the YouTube channels, meaning the 100,000 subscriber play button or the gold play button for 1 million. The talent didn't even see that, which is just such a scummy thing to do, obviously. Now, while Sayu was a relatively new member of Nijisanji at the time, Nina and Mista were considered cornerstone. Thus, the tide started to slowly turn. And then they jump a bit forward in the timeline, and that's when they fast forward to the Selen Christmas catastrophe with the music video that got taken down by management. And then in January, with the departure of Pomu Rainpuff, more people started to wonder how bad things were at Nijisanji. Pomu Rainpuff was one of their
6
biggest
graduations
VTubers and shocked everyone
like
when they
year.
announced their graduation in January. And it was even more shocking when people
Maybe
didn't
7.
hear from Selen since they were friends. So that's when people started to worry about her safety. And then in February, another liver named Kyo Kaneko announced the graduation, which again brought the community into an uproar, wondering, why is there so many people departing all at once here? Is there like a waiting list, like this fucking purgatory or something?
There was a
with people
waiting list,
to
actually,
go to
it
the
turns
other
out.
side. And then on February 5th, Nijisanji released that termination notice. And that's when Dokibird talked about what actually happened with her hospitalization following her unalive attempt that was built up from the stress that Nijisanji put upon her. And a lot of information started to come out, both from artists and other people who had previously worked with them, claiming that working with Nijisanji was never very good. There was delay in payments, NDAs being sent multiple times with the wrong name, just so many different things. But Selen had always paid the artists out of her own pocket during this period of turmoil while trying to work with Nijisanji. And following all of this new information coming to light, the public was understandably outraged, because this is just some deplorable garbage. The dam broke and they were flooded with tons and tons of angry fans. The tornado blew through and picked up 500 septic tanks, and the shitstorm that came with it was something that Nijisanji couldn't have possibly predicted. So Nijisanji's stakeholders started to suffer. They lost several sponsorships because of all of this. Apparently their stock price, like their valuation or whatever, started to plummet as well. It was a huge hit to their company, and it only continues to get worse by the day. So Selen revealed that she had spent like $250,000 of her own money on projects throughout the last year there, so she made no profit. And a very interesting piece of information that people brought up is that in December of 2022, Mista Rios had a slip of the tongue,
Whole
revealing
2%.
that talent only gets 1% of merch sales, and other reports stating that it was
That's
a whole 2%.
brutal.
And this serves to
Yeah.
showcase
1%?
that Nijisanji doesn't just harass and bully their talent.
That's
directly.
fucking nothing.
They also
That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's just a
financially fuck them.
money system for them.
That is downright criminal. Only giving 1 or 2%, if they're feeling gracious enough, of merch sales to the talent is mind-boggling. And I saw a couple people defending this. And let me just go ahead and take you in real quick, because it looks like you blew in from Stupidville.
Oh,
That is unacceptable.
Stupidville.
Yes, the VTubers here don't actually own their avatar or anything. That does belong to Nijisanji, and they signed the contract and agreed to that. But without them, that merch doesn't move. They are still the sole force for why that merch sells in the first place, thus should be compensated fairly.
Yep.
If they don't make that tweet about the merch being available, if they don't talk about it on stream, 0 people buy it. And to only give them a 1 or at most 2% cut of that is just laughably
Crazy.
pathetic and it's just depraved, really. And this also led to a meme that you've probably seen if you've been keeping up with it, about how Nijisanji's CEO was too busy on his yacht that he built on the back of his talent through exploiting them financially. It comes from this.
I did not hear
information,
about that.
where apparently the CEO had flexed that he had a yacht that he had recently purchased or something. I didn't look into that too deeply, but I keep seeing that pop up everywhere with people
yacht?
citing different sources for it. I believe that that's probably something that happened because they are legitimately just exploiting their talent here.
The
This
fuck
is
you gonna do
a
with a
completely
yacht, huh?
unacceptable split. Under no circumstances should this be allowed. That is crazy. And what's even crazier is I know they're not the only ones that do that to their talent. In the VTuber space, I have seen some very unfair
YouTuber or
deals.
something.
Now, not this bad. I will
Ugh.
say this is exceptionally horrible. But I wasn't surprised to learn that when I first saw that they take 98% of merch sales, because these VTuber agencies look for every possible way, at least the contracts I've seen from some of them, to squeeze every dime possible out of that talent while not letting them get the lion's share most of the time. I'm having to tiptoe around this a little bit because I don't want to get in any hot water with it. But yeah, it fucking sucks. That is awful. Now back to the
Ugh.
Weeb Shitter archives here.
Weeb Shitter is
then
crazy.
talks about what happened last night, which is what I want to talk about as well. So, the clip that he is referring to is Dokibird was streaming. She has now come back to streaming, trying to, just have a good time with her community again, and things are going extremely well. She went from 10,000 subs to now over 500,000 subscribers. Her first stream back had over 100K concurrent.
Damn.
Absolutely fucking crushing
Pretty
it.
crazy.
And last night during her stream, which was her first gaming stream since being back, she had to end it early because fellow livers Alira Pandora, who'd been quiet since the announcement of Selen's termination, started a stream at the same time called A Message from Nijisanji.
Oh, this was the
And
one I was
during the
talking
stream,
about.
she was joined by other Nijisanji VTubers, Ike Eveland and Vox Akuma. Both of them were thought to be friends of Selen or Dokibird.
Totally not
And
scripted
they read
message.
a totally
Yep.
not scripted message expressing how sad and betrayed they felt that Selen had given out personal information like real names and other required information about livers in her legal document that she sent over to Nijisanji, and some of them stating that they had thoroughly read through it, as well as presenting Discord snippets
Wait,
between Selen and
That's a
management.
confidential. You
When it
cannot
was
share
presented
documents.
by them, thinking that it would absolve them. Now, I truly believe that Nijisanji forced them to make this video. I think that they were 100% pressured into making this statement. I don't think the VTubers chose this, nor do I think they really believe what they were saying, because you'd have to be on some goddamn idiot juice to think that that was a good idea. Obviously, this is just inviting everyone in the community to throw tomatoes at you and scream, "Boo, boo, you stink." It is a terrible statement from them. And the obvious big problem here, one that Dokibird also had to call attention to, is that it seems Nijisanji seemingly shared confidential information with these parties that are unrelated
That's
to the
fucking
issues,
insane.
which could potentially include her medical
Yeah.
information. which is fucking illegal. You can't do that. You can't just share this personal information. You can't break NDAs, and you certainly can't share sensitive medical information. There's protections in place for that. That's a highly illegal thing to do. Meanwhile, goofballs at fucking Nijisanji here were real loosey-goosey with Dokibird's information. Confidential information, it seems. So I'll go ahead and play the clip from Dokibird when she learned about all of this.
Despite everything that has happened,
Oh yeah, I heard.
I was very sad to find out a personal
Wow, 30,000
document
people.
that was only shown
Sheesh.
between 3 different parties had to be leaked out, because it was a document I made for my lawyer, and it was a document that was not supposed to be shown anywhere else but to me and my lawyer, and to the lawyers on the other side, and we were promised
Oh
it was
my
not to
God.
be shown anywhere else.
Because that's how the process is supposed to work in a fucking legal
but it
battle
doesn't mean
where you're
shit to
not
Nijisanji.
sharing
Clearly.
confidential information with others unrelated to the fucking legal battle taking place.
They clearly
But I
don't
guess
know how
Nijisanji, being the
American
goobers
laws
they
work.
are, for some reason tried to weaponize that information by giving
That's
it
insane
to
to give it
Selen's
to
friends and
members?
most likely, I'll say
Yeah.
there's a
Why
high
would they
chance
need it?
forcing them to make that
They don't.
video
No.
a message from Nijisanji.
You could just
which is
talk
a
to her and
terrible
ask her
video
too. That's the crazy
that
part.
I don't think they wanted to make
Yeah.
because they have to have known it'd be a disaster for them on a personal level. Like their careers are definitely taking a hit because of that.
the pettiness.
Like, and I feel like they'd know that for sure. But I feel like Nijisanji was trying to strong arm them into doing it because from the sound of things, it looks like anyone that signs with Nijisanji is basically just their fucking hostage for the entire time you're with the agency. Dokibird went on Twitter to once again
Pretty
say
much.
that it was never supposed to be shown to anyone other than me, the lawyer, and any other relevant lawyers. It was a private document with personal information, and then expressed concern, wondering if her medical and hospital records were also released without her consent, since that was also promised to be kept private. She says she's currently talking to her lawyer, and thankfully only her diagnosis and reason for hospital stay was reported without further private info being disclosed. So that's currently where everything's at right now. And Nijisanji is bleeding out. So much so that the CEO made his own little YouTuber apology video.
Oh
which is
my
trash.
God.
Change.
I was
No
gonna play clips
way.
from his apology video, but with Nijisanji, you never really know what stupid shit they're gonna do, so I didn't want to risk getting a strike on it for covering it. So instead, I'll just go ahead and refer to the article here. One of the main things that he apologizes for off rip is that after announcing the termination of Selen, there was a notice that was published saying that the impact this would have on the
From
company's
investors.
performance would be negligible. And he said that
Negligible
this
is
was a
crazy.
misunderstanding, and they used inconsiderate word choice for it, and recognizes that Selen was integral to the growth of Nijisanji English branch. And really, the whole thing more just seems like a statement to investors, like on a business side of things, as opposed to like a legitimate apology for anything that happened. To me, it comes across as super corpo soulless suit speak, like, yeah, we terminated Selen, whatever, that's well, who cares? What really matters is the investors not losing faith.
Unfortunate.
So we'll make this video to try and regain that investor faith so we can keep raking in those big bucks. He promises like very vague things about changes
he's
coming. We
our-
need better systems in place that we're
I
working
think he's
towards
in his
this and that.
20s too, the
But none of it
CEO.
really comes across
No, it
as
seems like he looks pretty
sincere,
young.
especially considering that if you really wanted to make a good faith, like strong stance, like we need to change, start with monetarily. It's now come out that your talent gets fucked financially when it comes to their split on like merch sales and things like that. If you really want to make a good faith, like convincing, compelling argument that you're going to change, start there. I would like to see that because you can easily showcase that one. It's going to be hard to convey to the public that you're changing things behind the scenes because, again, that's behind the scenes. It's always going to be something that the public's never going to be fully privy to. But your merch split with your talent, that is public. If you allow your VTubers to talk about it, they can say, hey, look, we just got raised up a ton of percentage when it comes to our merch split, and we really appreciate that. It's a sign of
50%.
goodwill, you know, and maybe things will get better in the future elsewhere too. But personally, I don't see them making any meaningful changes
think so
to
either.
company culture. Or
I don't
the way
think they
things
have.
happen
It's been a
behind
year.
the doors or anything
I wonder
monetarily.
what they're at
I
right
just
now.
don't see
Not
them
good.
really doing a whole lot to improve. And I think the community feels largely the same way, which is why Nijisanji continues to fester here. Now, while they haven't fully gone under or anything of that nature, they are definitely trending in a downward death spiral at the moment.
Death
where
spiral's crazy.
It seems more graduations are on the way, most likely, or perhaps even terminations to more talent. And the public is not super excited about the future of Nijisanji English branch. Now, the English branch of Nijisanji is just one component of it. Its biggest is still the Japanese sector. But I have to imagine if the English branch flounders and fails, it's going to be bad for Nijisanji as a whole, because it still was a sizable chunk of their company, and that's going to affect that side of things too. So it's definitely something
I
that
don't
they
think they're
wouldn't like to see go
a billion
away,
dollar company
I would
anymore either.
imagine. But
Oh, I
it's
wouldn't
looking
have
like
them
it's
believe that,
going
yeah.
towards that direction. So anyway, I just wanted to cover this a bit because it is a huge deal, and one of those situations where a company that was really at a point where it was probably too big to fail is starting to fail. Truly by their own
It's going downhill
mismanagement,
anyway.
own problems, and own toxicity. And I'm wishing the absolute best for Dokibird going forward. Hopefully, the legal process she's engaged in is smooth and an easy W, and hopefully her streams continue to pop off. So, best of luck to her, and yeah, that's really about it. So, yeah.
Wow. Isn't that fucking
I was gonna say,
insane?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, where's Dokibird now? Like,
She
retired.
Dokibird's killing it. She has like 800,000 followers now. She debuted her new VTuber. She got nominated for VTuber of the Year, I believe. She's hosted some gaming tournaments. I think she's won an Apex tournament.
Holy shit.
Yeah, she's collabed with like a lot of people. She's pretty popular, actually.
More people.
I think what happened is that they don't have a lot of English. They have Japanese that speak English, but I don't think they have people that actually know American laws. And I don't think they know that. I think at the end of the day, isn't like the Japanese.
I don't think there's this. It's the 21st century. If you don't know something, you can just look it up.
That
I don't think
exactly.
There's an excuse
Exactly.
for that.
I think that's crazy because I think the only thing that maybe they thought we would conform is that how different the work culture is. Like, we thought our work culture was hard, but like Japanese, like, they live and die to work. Like, they have so little time and all they do is work. And I don't know if they thought we were just gonna conform and then go, okay, well, you do what we say and you do what we think and you work as much as we say and yeah, have fun. That's not how we work. And I also think a lot of people go into agencies come in thinking that it's going to still be fun, but because it turned to work, I think a lot of them do struggle. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, it's like if you're a mechanic and you like working on cars, soon you're not going to like it because you're just doing it all the time. It's no longer a hobby and now it's work.